Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. I've got a special guest joining me today. This is Melvin Quinones, right? Did I pronounce that correctly? Did I get your last name?
You got it perfect.
Awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Awesome. Victory Musical Instruments.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So we're surrounded by incredible instruments. I mean, just gorgeous instruments that you've got here. Tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get into this world of manufacturing these beautiful instruments?
So I've been a professional saxophonist myself for over 35 years. I've had the opportunity to perform in army bands and also in many professional artists. I started in Puerto Rico when I was 12. Wow. And I've just been passionate about this all my life, you know. So I went through a tough road in different moments of my life, but that actually led me here, right, to victory.
Right. So how did you get into manufacturing instruments? How did you get started actually making them?
Like a lot of entrepreneurs, I started from home. You know, my best business partner was just a credit card, you know, and so I've made things happen, you know, from scratch. I've had a very interesting career and combination of skills over the years that I've developed.
Okay.
I've been an IT professional also for many years. I worked for Microsoft, Dell, Hewlett-Packard, and I also studied for 2 years quality control engineering. I never thought that it would help me for anything because I hated it at the moment, right? But I think it was part of just me growing up and eventually developing skills that I would be able to connect. In around 2008, I developed my own social network. It was called My Music Talk. I got to meet a lot of great musicians in over 100 countries. And actually, Shucks Rock was one of our members.
Right.
So not only I made great relationships in the industry, you know, but I learned a lot about the instrument itself and what musicians wanted, what they could afford, not only in the United States, but around the world. So I think that's been understanding the needs of musicians and being a musician myself helped me understand, you know, how we can provide better instruments, more affordable, not only that they sound and feel great, but they can look great as well, right? So that's part of what I noticed that was kind of missing in a lot of companies.
Right.
So, yeah.
So those early instruments, were you manufacturing those yourself? Were you having those made for you? And how did you develop that process?
So after I shut down the social network, which I did for health reasons, right? I still kept most of my contacts. So I had this idea, you know what? At some point, I'm gonna get into the industry again. I thought about selling saxophones, you know, and up here in the industry, I'm not gonna mention the name, but he just told me, Melvin, why are you gonna sell that brand? People don't know about it. You're gonna have to work a lot for it. I thought about that. I said, you know what? It's time to do something, you know, with my name on it, right? I know the industry well. I actually, during the time that I had the social network, a lot of the competitors, you know, would come to me asking questions, right, to find out about instruments or endorsing artists, right?
Right.
So I thought that I gained enough knowledge to start my own company. Like I said, I didn't have the funds. I didn't have money. You know, it was just me and my credit card.
Right.
But I had the passion. You know, so I literally decided to talk to one of the contacts I had made, and they had this factory in Taiwan. I said, can we try one? Because most of the factories, unless you go and order 50 saxophones, you know, they're not gonna even do it. But I think that throughout the years, I built good relationships. You know, the factory was eager to work with me. And we created what we call the Origin series. It was appropriate, right? This is where the origins of my company.
Yeah.
You know, and it was something like this. It's just a beautiful instrument. It had this brown gold lacquer, the way we call it, with black nickel. And it was very eye-catching. When I tried that first prototype, I fell in love with it. You know, I've tried every instrument out there, you know, as a professional player, all the top brands. And it was just so comfortable, and it has such a great sound. And I started calling my friends, try it out.
Right.
You know, and they just started ordering, you know, and that's what led us basically to continue developing more instruments. Eventually, we did the trumpets as well.
So you started those first instruments were under the Growling sax
Yes.
brand name as
Yeah.
well, and you still refer to them that way, correct? The saxophones are still, that's kind of the line of them?
Exactly. So the company, the legal company name is the Growling sax.
Okay.
But I couldn't name a growling sax trumpet, right? So, you know, after 2.5 years, I started working with some trumpeters locally, friends of mine. I've had the fortune to work with great musicians, you know. And the very first artists that started developing trumpets with me are Osvaldo Fleites, which he's played for tons of artists. You know, I'm talking about Andrea Bocelli and Gloria Estefan. You know, and he helped me develop this first trumpet model here. It's called the Revelation series.
Okay.
You know, Revelation, because we're coming out of nowhere. What is this, right?
Right.
You know, so we were very successful with it. This instrument, you know, it was just very well made. And he started playing. I mean, some of the first work that he did was for Emilio Estefan, you know, and they, at the studio, they fell in love with the trumpet.
Being a saxophone player yourself, the transition to making trumpets, flugelhorns, was that a major transition for you, or how did you manage that?
So yeah, I like learning new things. I'm not afraid to try. You know, like I told you earlier, you know, during life, you know, throughout your life, you're forced to learn skills, right? I don't come from a rich family,
right.
But I've been forced to work hard, and I'm proud of that, right? All of those relationships with my artists, you know, have helped me. You know, I ask a lot of questions. There's a lot that I still don't know about the industry and about the instrument, and I continue to learn. But I've had great mentors, and I've had great artists that, you know, I mean, they test everything, you know, and they give me great feedback. Not only Osvaldo, but after him, I started working with Evan Taylor, which was the winner of the International Trumpet Guild Jazz Competition. And then I started working with Gerardo Rodriguez on developing a newer model, which we called the Trumpet of Jesus. We actually won an award, the Music Inc. Editor's Choice Award for NAMM 2021.
Nice.
So I'm very proud of that. You know, just a year and a half after I started building trumpets, you know.
Wow.
But I don't know it all. I rely on great artists, you know.
Yeah, you mentioned the artists, and you have quite an extensive list of artists on your website, and very impressive lineup of names there. So when you say that you get feedback from the artists and that they're bringing things to you, what kind of things are they telling you? What do you get from these artists?
So the type of response they want on the instrument, you know, some of them play lead trumpet, some of them play jazz or classical, right? So the instrument may change a little bit depending on their needs, right? You know, let me pull a trumpet here, for example. Like some trumpets model have a semicircular tuning slide. This one is more round, right? That actually changes the sound. So we have different models, you know, that will be more appropriate for your style of playing.
Okay.
Right? So there's a reverse lead pipe, or for example, on this model, we did the soldering a little more to the inside, so the bell can vibrate more, right? If you want a student instrument, for example, you don't want that necessarily because you want it to be safer, even if it doesn't vibrate as much, right? But you know, the artists give me this feedback. You know, they're telling me, no, you know what, this is safer now, but I want to vibrate more, right?
Right.
So that's just to give you a small sample, right, of the type of discussion that I have with the artists.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes a big difference. And one of the things that makes the instruments stand out is, first of all, you're a musician yourself.
Yes.
And I think that brings a lot of perspective to the instruments that you make. And then getting all that feedback from the artists, these internationally renowned artists, just informs what you're doing so well. So congratulations on that. I think I think that's a tremendous approach to designing and creating instruments.
Thank you.
So tell us also, how do you source these kind of things, or how do you come up with an idea like that you say, okay, I'm going to do this, and we're going to use this material, and here's how we'll proceed with that?
Yeah. So trial and error. We've tried a few. I tried a few different factories, you know, after the one that we started working with, to develop more instruments. You know, sometimes we don't get the quality we want. Obviously, that's not going into the market, right?
Right.
But yeah, we've tried a few different combinations. Like the very first saxophone that I designed, I decided, you know what if we did this neck in copper instead of brass, and let's compare them, you know, and see how they sound. I want a little more vibration or a little more kick out of the sound, right? So yeah, we experiment quite a lot, and also how the finish or the colors, you know, affect the sound as well.
Right.
You know, we have to be very considerate, especially in the trumpets. If you put a paint that is too thick, you know, it's not going to have that vibration that they want to attack. We've actually tried quite a few, and everything that's worked well for us, we release to the market, you know.
Right. Yeah. That spirit of innovation, I think is so important as well. It's easy to think of. Most musical instruments have been around for a few hundred years or whatever, and you'd think everything has been done, but clearly you still have lots of new ideas and lots of new things you're working on. Do you have more innovations in store for us?
Absolutely. So, you know, like I mentioned earlier, you know, I've been through a lot in my life and a lot of things that led me to victory.
Right.
But I never thought I would use the 2 years that I studied quality control engineering, you know, but I've gotten the factories to adapt my standards and my protocols and my processes, right, which is rare. You know, most of those factories have their standards.
Right.
And some companies go and pick an OEM product. You know, we really want to develop innovation and create new instruments and give options to the musicians, you know, but not only great options to sound great and play great, you know, but be cost considerate as well, right? Because I'm a musician myself and I struggled to buy my first musical instrument. Being Hispanic, I'm surrounded by a lot of Hispanic musicians. You know, I know what they can afford. I know they can't afford a very expensive instrument, you know, necessarily. So how can we build a saxophone or a trumpet or a trombone that sounds great, but they can still afford it, right?
Right.
You know, and I think we've been pretty successful at it.
Yeah, definitely. So if you were going to, you mentioned a lot of things during the course of this interview already, but if you were going to summarize why someone should choose a Victory instrument, I mean, there are many brands of instruments out there and some of them are very familiar. Why would someone choose Victory?
So I think there's 3 important things when we design an instrument. The very first one should be, you know, how it sounds, right? The instrument has a great sound. It has good intonation, right? And that's always what we look for, a great sounding instrument. But we also consider number 2, which is how it feels. It's got to sound good. It's got to feel right. So we consider the weight of the instrument. If you're a trumpeter and you're playing for 3 hours there, you know, it is very important that it's a, you know, lightweight, that you can carry it and you don't get tired quick.
Sure.
Right? So how it sounds, how it feels, and then how it looks. We've designed very unique finishes and hand engravings. The traditional engravings on saxophone tend to be more like ornaments or flowers. And we actually engrave our story into the instrument.
Nice.
You know, so it's very unique, you know, and price conscious as well, right? So these are instruments that are available for anyone, right? We have different price points.
Yeah, three, well, actually 4, right? Very important important factors there. Thank you for summarizing that. Man, congratulations. They're just tremendous instruments. We're so happy to have you here at Sweetwater. And also, I got to tell you, I love that jacket, man.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I've heard it more than once today.
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
cool.
that.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later about where you got that from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. You know, I'm thankful. You know, I've respected Sweetwater for many, many years, and I've had the opportunity to know Chuck for many years as well. I'm pretty proud of working with you guys and being here with you.
Well, likewise. We're proud and honored to have you as part of the Sweetwater family of vendors. So we appreciate you sitting down with us today and telling us about the company and about these amazing instruments. And it's a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Melvin. And thank you for joining me today. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.